Hello and welcome back to Biblical Receipts Podcast. And today we will be discussing the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples to pray. His disciples, his apostles often saw him praying and they wanted to learn how to pray. So they approached him and they said, Lord, teach us how to pray. And so this is the prayer that he taught them. Okay. And this is the prayer that most of us pray. Some call it the Our Father prayer, some call it the Lord's Prayer. You know, it's the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples to pray. You can call it whatever you want. Okay. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it. But most importantly, each verse, each verse or each line is something specific that we're asking for. Many people pray the prayer without really thinking. It's Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, that will be done on earth. Okay, they pray without really thinking about what they're praying for. But we're going to break down the first three verses, which are the most important. Now, the entire prayer is important, but the first three are first for a reason. And we're going to get into that reason why the first three are mentioned the way they are. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, in Matthew chapter 6, verse 9, okay, this is where Jesus started. He said, and like I said, if you've ever visited my channel before, you know I use multiple translations. I put them on the screen so everyone can see them. I use a lot of different translations. My primary translation, though, that I use that's not on the screen is the New World Translation. Okay. I also use the King James. But what I do, I like to look at a lot of different translations to get a feel for what they all say so I can have a better meaning and better understanding of what's being brought out, the thought that's being brought out. Okay. I'm not that person that say, well, this is the only Bible I read because this is the law, this is the one handed down by God, yada, yada, yada. That's how a lot of people feel. But they're all translations. And they pretty much, as you can see, if you can see the screen on your phone, they all pretty much say the same thing. Okay? They all pretty much say the same thing. It's just different accounts, like for instance, the four gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. They all saw the same event, but because of their life's experiences, they relate what they saw differently. Okay? So they don't, some will be more precise and exact, some won't. Some will be more vague. So just like translations, certain translations, are not as accurate as others. So you have to find an accurate translation that hopefully uses the language that we speak today, because the Bible is written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. It was not written in Old English like the King James is written in. Thou saith unto thee, thou the. Jesus did not speak that way. Okay? Regardless of what Hollywood says and the movies say, Jesus did not speak that way. He spoke in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, and he was fluent in all of them. Okay? Let's just be real. Let's go ahead and get into it. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. Now, Jesus says, now I'm gonna read top left the New International Version, according to what I see on my screen. Okay, it says, then is how you should pray. He says, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's number one. That's why I got number one listed up there. Hallowed be thy name. What does that mean? Many people have used the term hallowed, but what does hallowed mean exactly? You have to know specifically what each word or each phrase means to get a better understanding of what you're praying or what you're reading. So let's go drop down where I see you see the arrow there. It says what? May your name be kept holy. So when you say hallowed be thy name, you mean to sanctify it. Keep it holy. Keep it in the highest regard. Lord, there at the Christian Standard Bible, it says, your name be honored as holy. Okay? And Lord, it says, may your holy name be honored. Okay? Or kept holy. Okay? Hallowed be thy name. It's to have God's name in the highest possible regard. His name should be the most important name in our vocabulary if we are a believer in God and a follower of Christ. His name should be at the top of the pyramid when it comes to names. Okay, why? Well, first of all, you have to know what God's name is to place it in that regard. And I talk to a lot of people, and we talk about what God's name is. And I'm talking about adults. I'm not talking about children. And most adults don't know what God's name is. And I've heard a lot of different answers. Many people say, well, and I'm talking about adults here. Many adults will say, well, his name is God. Well, his name is Lord. Lord and God are titles. They're not personal names. God has a personal name, just like you have a personal name. I have a personal name. Jesus has a personal name. It's Jesus. Well, his Father has a personal name. That's why he said, hallowed be thy name. And notice he said name, and he didn't say names, plural. He said name, singular. So a lot of people will say, well, God has a lot of names. Well, no, he has one personal name. He has a lot of names that describe his character, his personality, his attributes. He has titles to describe those. Those aren't names. Okay, he has one personal name and one personal name only. And in most Bible translations, it can be found in Psalms 83:18. And if you type in the word Jehovah in any dictionary, you're going to get one definition and one definition only. Try it. Go to Webster's or whatever dictionary you use, type in the word Jehovah and see what it tells you. They're all going to say God. I even have a video on this channel that goes into that, but that's another video for another day. But anyway, let's get back into it. It says, hallowed be thy name, to hold that name in the highest possible regard. Okay, that's the first and most important thing we should do. Know his name and keep it holy above everything else. Okay, number two. Okay, and it lists them back to back. Matthew chapter 6, verse 10. It says, the second thing is, after we say, hallowed be thy name, he says, your kingdom or thy kingdom come. Okay? You have to know what God's kingdom is. A lot of people have been taught that God's kingdom is, God's kingdom is in our hearts. It's in our hearts. It's within us, each of us. No, no. God's kingdom is an real earth, a heavenly government. It's a government just like any government that you know of, but it's heavenly. It's a righteous, heavenly, perfect government. Okay, that's what God's kingdom is. It's not something that's just within us. Okay, it's an actual government that we're praying for to do what? It says you're praying for His kingdom to come. Okay, you're praying for His kingdom to come and do what? We're praying for it to come. So once it comes, what is it going to do? Well, we know it's the next verse is that his will or thy will be done. His will. What is God's will? Well, you have to know what his will is, right? You pray for his will to be done. You know what the specifics are? Most people don't. Because most people in churches are taught that, well, I had a guy tell me that, well, I'm not going to be here, so I don't even care what's going to take place. I'm not going to be here anyway. I'm going to be in heaven. He done put himself in heaven. He done took the liberty to put himself someplace where he wasn't invited. Because the Bible says many are called, few chosen. And you got people, and you probably, I don't know if you want them or not, but a lot of people walk around talking about how blessed and highly favored they are. But let's keep it in 100. The Bible only gives that moniker to one person and one person only, being blessed and highly favored. That's when the angel visited Mary. And from Genesis to Revelation, she's the only one that has that moniker, being blessed and highly favored. Nobody else. So I don't know why people walking around talking about how blessed and highly favored they are. And when the Bible only said there's one person that was blessed and highly favored. Okay? So let's not, let's not cross into somebody else's lane. Let's stay in our own lane. But I'm just saying. Okay? But anyway, it says, thy kingdom come, thy will, or God's will, be done. What is his will? Well, that will is going to be done where? On earth as it is in heaven. So we're praying for God's will to be done right here. What is his will? What is God's will for the earth? I ask people that. People that's been in church all their lives. They can't answer the question. Ask Geno Jennings if he knows the answer to that question. Ask him. Ask your pastor, whoever he or she is. What is God's will for the earth specifically? Give me some things that he's going to do once his kingdom takes over. See what they say. Okay? Because you're praying for his will to be done here as it is in heaven. So some things got to take place here, right? If you're praying for it to be done, okay? That's 2 and 3. Now, we're going to go to the book of Daniel next, because Daniel prophesied about this in Daniel 2:44. See, King Nebuchadnezzar had this dream. Most of you know about this if you've read the Bible. He had this dream. Okay? It was a scary dream to him. And all his so-called experts couldn't relay his dream to him. Okay? He said, I'm going to put you all to death if you can't tell me what I dreamed and why I dreamed it. Okay? And so, but see, Daniel was the only one that could do that. Okay? He was the only one that can relay the dream to him. So Daniel went and he told him what the dream was. Anyway, Daniel 2:44, it says, God, this is one of the things that Daniel relayed to him. He said, in the days, and I'm reading from the King James Bible now. It says, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, okay? But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So we're basically praying for God's kingdom to come, get rid of all these governments, Democrats, Republicans, independents, dictators, earthwide. We're praying for God's kingdom to come and just get rid of all these earthly human-run governments because they're all corrupt. Regardless of what you think, they're all corrupt and they got to go. Okay? Because think about it. When Jesus was on earth, he was giving us a glimpse, a small window into the things that he was going to do once God's kingdom takes over. What did Jesus do that no human has done? Totally cured the sick, the blind, the lame, fed thousands with little for free. He even controlled the weather. Remember when they were on the boat and the storm came up and all the disciples, his apostles were afraid, and Jesus told the wind to hush, be silent? Yes, Jesus will even control the weather. Because the Bible says that, all authority in Matthew 28, 18, 19, and 20, Jesus said, all authority has been given me in heaven and on earth. So he's going to have the authority to control everything. Right? So he's going to do all what he did when he was on earth. He's going to do it on a global scale, even raise the dead. And that's another video also. You need to check it out. But anyway, if you can see below, I have 2 QR codes. It's the book of Daniel. It's on video. You got to check it out. Just scan it with your phone. Take your phone. Where's my phone at? Where's my phone? Anyway, I don't have a phone. Take your phone, scan it, and it will instantly come up, the video. Part 1 and part 2, you got to check it out. Don't miss it. It tells you what goes on in the book of Daniel and in Daniel's life, okay? So, with that being said, I hope you got something from the video. If you enjoyed the video and the content and found it useful or informative, please like, share, and by all means, subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next video.